Hello, everybody. So, Trump indictment. Who could have seen that coming? And by the way, for my video viewers, my apologies about this. This is for my radio show podcast on Spotify, Apple, and wherever you find podcasts. Make a very long story short, just adopted a puppy, so I've been a little bit busy getting her adjusted to a new home. Uh, you know, the dog was in Puerto Rico, first on the streets, then rescued in Puerto Rico, sent on an airplane to a rescue in the United States, and then, so I needed some time to get her used to the house, and uh, so I've been a little bit busy. Lighting at night for me is a little difficult, so it's just easier to do it in a podcast setting. But anyway, Trump indictment. I do remember telling all you guys that it was going to happen. And I know a lot of you guys were under the impression that because of the information from Robert Costello and that the case was blown, that would be the end of this. And what I was trying to explain to all of you guys is this was never about justice. This is never about the facts. This was always about get Trump and influencing the 2024 election, because just like they did the others, they're going to rig this one too. But before we get too into it, first, a word from today's sponsor. I know it says video, it's a podcast, I get it, okay? But listen up, this is a very important one. Today, I would seriously consider it. Today's video sponsor is Augusta Precious Metals. Is the Biden economy hurting your 401k or IRA? Well, help is on the way. Request the free gold IRA guide that persuaded Mark Levin to diversify his retirement with gold and precious metals. According to Mark, they won't just sell you, they'll educate you so you can make your own decision. Many of my supporters love Augusta Precious Metals, and you will too. Get yourself the free gold IRA guide at covfefe.click/IRA. covfefe.click/IRA. Okay, I'm back. I would definitely take a look at Augusta Precious Metals. The way things are going right now, I would not trust the cabal to manage my retirement that I worked my ass off for. Now, I warned you that Trump would be indicted, arrested. It would be bogus. The bottom line is this, guys, and I've said this about a million times, that the statute of limitations for the alleged crimes that he didn't commit, but they're claiming he did, the statute of limitations for that is 2 years. They're trying to merge a state case with a federal case, despite the fact that both the state and the federal government already declined to prosecute, just to make this into a felony, which, by the way, is still only a 5-year statute of limitation on a crime, or alleged crime, I should say, that has that took place 7 years ago. I know that we're not all mathematicians here, but even if they were able to make this hybrid state-federal case, which is asinine at best, but we don't need to get into the legalese of that, you're still off by 2 years. And as I said, just to make it simple, there's no way in hell that you could even make that happen to get it to a 5-year statute of limitations. Anyway, so this has never been about fact. You want to know something ironic, and don't think for a minute that these rhino SOBs, we'll call them that. I got to kind of try to keep it family friendly, but those rhinos SOBs, now in Florida, suddenly, they finally passed the Florida Senate that Ron DeSantis doesn't have to resign to run. Who could have seen that coming? And you're seeing articles saying, well, I guess Ron DeSantis is going to be the nominee. Yeah, right. You might as well just start calling the guy President Trump now, because that's what just happened. You know what's kind of interesting, at least to me, is that these people don't even know that this is going to blow up right in their face. This guarantees Donald Trump the next president of the United States, like it or not. Uh, Most people who are honest people see right through this. And let's not forget who really has the power here. You know, just an example, Jacob Chansley, the QAnon shaman uh, that they decided to incarcerate, in my opinion, and pretty much the opinion of anybody with a brain in their head, he was a political prisoner. Well, after Tucker, who I feel did a half-assed job exposing J6, I think the network told him to knock it off. But anyway, the little bits that he did expose, Jacob Chansley has been set free. Go figure. Um, that should be an interesting thing to follow. I'm hoping that there are some amazing lawyers on our side that help that guy out. You know, it's one thing to let people out of prison or jail or whatever, but his life will be forever ruined financially, because once you get that big F word, that felony, nobody wants to hire you. I know, I've been through it. So, not easy. If anybody is listening and could help this gentleman out, um, you know, I think that that's really the right thing to do. Totally wrongfully incarcerated simply for the fact that he supported the wrong guy, in their opinion. Uh, and he thought that the police had the authority to allow him to walk around the Capitol peacefully and say a prayer. You know, but anyway, we've already seen also with a guy like Jacob Chansley that our government has no problem incarcerating innocent people just for the sake of doing it, because they've, for whatever reason, have become an inconvenience to the government in one way, shape, or form. And, you know, I don't know what made anybody think for a minute that they weren't going to do this to Trump. We've been watching them try to nail this guy to the cross for over 6 years now. So, but all last week, I kept seeing a whole bunch of people posting, oh, not going to happen. No way. Oh, yeah. How many times have we heard that? Ba, 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 ba. Okay, well, here we are. Like, did some of you guys really think that they were just going to go away? Oh, we have no case. They knew they didn't have a case when they claimed they had a case. Uh, this isn't even tricky or, um, you know, legal stuff that, you know, is tricky in any way, right? This is pretty clear cut. There is there's no crime that could be prosecuted. You know, especially since, and honestly, I did say last week that it was kind of, you know, pointless to even talk about the facts or propaganda behind the case, because none of it is even relevant because of the statute of limitations. In a fair court, which we don't have fair courts, obviously, um, this would have been thrown right in the garbage just on the basis of it can't even be prosecuted. The statute of limitations is not a suggestion. That, you know, they're legally bound by that. So, will Trump be convicted? Nope. No way. And I mean, I can't say that they wouldn't even intend on trying. They're going to try, I guess. But do they really think that, uh, you know, it's even possible? No, they'll slow walk the case, right? This is really, in my opinion, anyway. I do think that if they think that they could get a conviction, that they'll try to do it. But I think that this is more about muddying the waters, attempting to influence the 2024 election, hoping that a guy like Ron DeSantis rises to fame on the Republican side because the Democrats clearly need to get rid of Joe Biden because, well, he's Joe Biden. Kamala Harris is cackling hyena, laughing stock of the world. Even the Biden administration, who is a complete embarrassment, wants nothing to do with Harris because she's underperformed. That's pretty bad when mush for brains like Joe Biden, who can't even walk up the stairs, string together a complete sentence, thinks that you're incompetent. And there's been a lot of rumors in the last week that that is actually, in fact, the case, that Joe Biden would love to get rid of Kamala Harris. You know, the irony, I think, is that the Democrat establishment would love to get rid of Joe Biden. Uh, it's becoming harder and harder to hide the fact that John Fetterman might be in better condition than Joe Biden, assuming John Fetterman's even alive. And what do you know? John Fetterman's also coming back, I think, next week. So this should get interesting. You know, I don't know, to be quite frank with you, what exactly this strategy, other than desperation, is on the Democrat side, because anybody with even a semi-functional brain knows that this is pretty much a guarantee that Trump gets in the White House. However, it's not going to happen by us just going to the polls and voting, because the system is obviously rigged. And I do think that if there is any strategy behind this with them, it is just to really try to, you know, it's the Pied Piper routine. I don't know if you know what the Pied Piper play is. They kind of did it with Trump, and it backfired on them the last time they tried to play this game, actually. If you remember in 2016, I think it was Trump and Cruz who were neck and neck. And for whatever reason, I guess the media thought that Cruz would be a stronger candidate than Donald Trump. Another huge underestimation there. So what the media did was cover Donald Trump in a positive light until he became the nominee. And then they all obviously turned, right? Because the Democrats thought that Donald Trump was the weaker of the two candidates, and then they thought that they'd run cover for Hillary Clinton by helping Donald Trump rise into the party. Now, we obviously know how, 2016 turned out, and that was probably one of the greatest political upsets in history. But now it appears they're trying to do the same damn thing all over again, only this time with Ron DeSantis. It's going to work about as good as it worked last time, because Ron DeSantis doesn't have a shot in hell. And what these imbeciles don't understand is now, because of what they did, Donald Trump is guaranteed to be the nominee for 2024. However, and I know a bunch of you guys are going to cringe when you hear this, but we need to use the fresh anger we have from Trump being arrested, use that to wake up everybody else, and we need to get people mobilized and organized to get the state legislatures to, at very least, get rid of the voting machine so we actually have a chance of winning 2024. I would hope by now that most of you guys see that these people have no shame. They're not going to say, "Oh, we got busted. Oh no, look what they just did." If for the first time in history, they've now indicted a former president of the United States on an alleged crime way past the statute of limitations, and a crime that didn't even exist, by the way. Declined prosecution from the Department of Justice and DA Fatso Bragg's predecessor. So and everybody knows it, with the exception to the few paid Democrat shills on Twitter and, the rhino idiots and whatever. But even the rhinos are, kind of trying to play the game. Ron DeSantis, they must have lab tested the fact that, now he's got to say, oh, well, we're not going to cooperate with New York. Yeah, that's only because, Donald Trump is going to do whatever it is that New York State wants him to do, turn himself in. There's been a lot of talk that Donald Trump actually wants to be handcuffed and it all over TV. Because that will create some outrage. And I don't blame him. Hey, they're playing politics with this. So, he might as well do it too, right? And gain the popularity and show people, hey, listen, if they could do this to me, the guy with $10 billion, what the hell do you think that they can do to you? Don't think that any of us can afford the caliber lawyers that he has. And if they could do that to him, especially that he's an former president, just think that what they could do to the common man like you and I. And we don't want to find out. So now it's time for us to get loud. It's time for us to stand up for what we believe in. It's time for us to get our asses on the phone with our state legislatures and demand that they do something to secure the election. And by something, I mean at bare minimum, getting rid of the voting machines. I know, and just to end this on a positive note, Mike Lindell, I was watching some interviews that he was doing the other day. It might have been Steve Bannon. I just can't remember really, to be honest with you. But he was saying that he was making great progress in a lot of states in working towards getting rid of the machines and paper ballots and the whole 9 yards. And one of the things that he said is, people, you got to get on the phone with your state legislatures and call them up and demand that your state legislatures get rid of the machines. The one thing that I thought was interesting, not that it actually surprised me, but that according to Mike Lindell, the people giving him the hardest time to securing the elections are actually, quote unquote, Republicans. They're rhinos, right? They're worse than the Democrats. And we're kind of see the big push for Ron DeSantis now from that same crowd of people. So my advice would be to take your anger from this Trump arrest and let's do what we need to do to get our election secure. And if we do that, I will guarantee you Donald Trump is the next president of the United States. That's all I have to say here. If you would, like and share this podcast, video, wherever the hell you're watching it. Don't forget to check out today's sponsor in the description below. You might have to click more depending on where you're watching this. And as I said in the infomercial, Augusta Precious Metals, get yourself the free gold IRA guide. It's a checklist. It tells you everything that you need to do and all the necessary information to make a decision of whether or not to diversify your IRA and 401k into precious metals and gold. As I said, I would take the warning. It's a free gold guide. At least see what it looks like. I would not, I'll repeat, I would not leave your money in the stock market. The damn thing is going to crash. If you take a look at what's going on financially all over the world, and by the way, don't think that they're telling you the truth about the banks. They're not. Okay. They're almost, in my opinion, I'm not a financial advisor, but I would say, in my opinion, I believe that a majority of these big banks are insolvent and playing the money game. And at some point, that's going to backfire on them, and they're not going to have what they need. So don't get caught up in that. Make sure you diversify your 401k with precious metal and gold. That's all I have to say here. Until next time, thank you. Goodbye.